I can't believe what happened in that game against Detroit. Boy, just when you think they're doing everything right, they just start doing everything wrong. And it's the Thanksgiving curse for them.
I know that NFL team from that city and that musical artist at halftime that performed. When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles. They do, Brett. They absolutely do. And good looking people. Happy Merry Holidays. It's that season again.
It is that season again, isn't it?
It is. Brett, how was let me minimize what I want to minimize and expand what I want to expand. I always hate whenever it's me and I don't want to just see my face. Like you're pixelated and all, but I'd rather see a pixelated you than a way too uh pick or well too version of myself. So anywho, Brett, what how's it going? What's new with you? You got
Oh,
a
it's
thought?
great. Thanksgiving here. You know what I did? We did not take down our 12-foot skeleton after Halloween.
Really?
We did not. We are keeping it up at least through the new year. That thing is a beast to put together. I'm not taking it down right away. So for Thanksgiving, I got an apron. Unfortunately, not long as I wanted to. I put an apron on it, and then I got an inflatable turkey.
Nice.
Because a prop turkey was like $200. So I spent like $12 on an inflatable turkey. Got a cheap
Nice.
roaster pan from the Dollar Tree, which is like $1.25 tree now. And then used some zip ties and some tape. I used tape to secure the inflatable turkey in the roaster pan, and zip ties to attach it to the hands. So the 12-foot skeleton in our front yard has got an apron on, and it's holding a roaster pan with a turkey in it in our front yard for Thanksgiving. And then once Thanksgiving is, Thanksgiving's passed, we are having him help us decorate the house. So
Very nice. So you're gonna have him like hugging a tree?
actually, he's helping us put the lights up.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I
How about
respect that.
you?
Well,
Yeah. How are things for you?
I'm hoping by the time this comes out, my tree is up because my wife has been asking, "Can we put the stuff? Can we put the stuff up? Can we put the stuff up?" And I keep telling her and the rest of my people who are old enough to clean, if the house is not clean enough to decorate, we will not decorate.
That is a fair rule.
So yeah, so like, problem is, as for us always, is we're in the midst of reorganizing and restructuring to be able to do that, and we put a tent up the other weekend, so that didn't help us at all. So you know, the fun of having little kids and trying to entertain them. But more importantly, Brett, I want to take a few minutes to discuss with you something that I need you to get on board with.
Okay.
And it's a little show called Cobra Kai. Have you heard of it, Brett?
I have heard of it, yes.
Okay. I know in the past I have mentioned this to you, and I feel like one or two times that episodes have dropped while we've been recording this podcast that I said to you, gosh, Brett, you got to watch it. But literally, it's coming to an end in February.
Yes.
I need you to put down the money for January and February to watch the show, Brett. It is, at this point, it is 6 seasons, 10 episodes a season, with the last season having 5 more episodes dropping. And Brett, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. This is a show that just the bar keeps getting raised and it focuses in on specific characters. And yes, there are more characters added, and you're like, how can they keep all these characters? And they find a way to keep progressing each of the main characters. And by gum, Brett, Barney was right. Okay, Barney Stinson is right. Ralph Macchio
William
is not the
Zabka.
Karate Kid. Yes.
William Zabka is the Karate Kid.
Just Brett, when I watched the last 5 episodes, it felt so good. Like it feels like the show is going in the right direction. And nay, I'm going to say I think they're going to nail it. I need you to be on board when these last episodes come out, Brett. I cannot communicate to you how much I need that, because I need us to be able to talk about this, Brett. Because you have from the original of the two guys that fought each other as teenagers who grew up and then had to figure out how do I communicate? How do I befriend someone who I despised for so much of my life? And how do I reconcile those emotional hardships? And they don't do a good job at it, Brett. And I need you to appreciate, experience the talent of these young actors and actresses who somehow over time have become real martial artists. Like they have to hire actual martial artists now to come into the show, because that's the level that these guys are at. They can't just hire actors to come in to make it look good. They have to hire real people then teach them how to act. Like,
Nice.
it's good stuff, Brett.
I've heard lots of good stuff about it.
Hmm. 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 I just school fight to this last thing I watched, Brett. You gotta do it, Brett. For me, for once in your life, do something I'm asking you
For,
to do.
for once in my life, I will do my best.
And I think the family would like it. Well, no, let me phrase it. I think your oldest two would like it. There are certain words that are used that I don't allow my son to listen to. It's literally like one or two words that I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with you hearing that word.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it, but it's not. It's so good, Brett. It's so good.
Okay. I will do my best.
For once, Brett, do something for me.
For once. Okay.
Anywho, we should get to the synopsis, Brett.
I think we should. Well, good looking people. Since we aren't looking at Cobra Kai tonight, we're going to look at the 15th episode of Boy Meets World of season 5, First Girlfriends Club. On Valentine's Day, Shawn's ex-girlfriends are so certain he is going to ruin his relationship with Angela that they kidnap him in order to keep
Dun
him
dun
from
dun.
hurting her. Bum, bum, bum. Meanwhile, Cory must face the music when Topanga reads Lauren's letter. This was story by Mark Blutman and Howard Busgang, written by Patricia Carr and Lara Runnels. They wrote last week's episode. Directed by Alan Meyerson. Originally aired February 13th, 1998, so just 1 week later. No break in between. IMDb rating of 7.8. That's 0.7 lower than last week. Tied for 14th place in the season. And last week we had 11.91 in the Nielsen's. Where do you think we sit at this
12.
week, Tyler?
I heard we had 12 last week. Is that correct?
We rounded up to 12. Well, you rounded up to 12,
Thank you.
but yeah.
Brett, by gum, it has to be 12.
Well, it does have a 12 in it, yes. It's
Yes.
12.11. So we picked up a little bit more in the ratings. Was that 0.20 in the ratings?
Nice.
So almost 250,000 people.
Well, where were those people last week?
missing out on the drama of Cory stepping out on Topanga. So Tyler, take it away.
I honestly do wonder, Brett, of in the 90s what people were saying about this situation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to ask certain people that I know are watching as adults at this time, but like I really do wonder like what they were thinking about and what type of questions little kid asked. I guess we'll never know.
Looking back, as I remember, there was a lot of how could he type of talk. And there was a small, at least in my area, there was a small amount of, I'm kind of tired of Cory and Topanga. Let's have something new.
Interesting.
But mostly, how could he?
Yeah, fair. Well, Brett, we begin this episode in 1986 in the All Valley Arena. Scores 2-2. Sorry.
Where's my buzzer?
I was committed to the bit way before we start talking about it. All right.
Exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
I couldn't find my buzzer.
That's fine. So we begin an episode with two women talking, Brett.
Yes,
Angela
do.
and Topanga talking about the letter and talk all night, Lauren.
Yes. It's almost a Bechdel pass. A Bechdel test
Almost.
pass. Almost.
It's because they talk about a letter.
Well, they're talking about a girl, but it's a girl about a guy.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we have Cory or Angela believes that Topanga has already opened it. And when she looks at the letter envelope, she goes, you did a really good job sealing it back up. It's like, because I didn't open it. So Angela decides to open it.
I love the little holding it above her head. I'm trying to help you, you poor little white girl. Trying to protect you, you poor little white girl.
I mean, she starts reading and she's like, oh, we should not have opened this. Like, this should have been burnt.
I want to burn it. You don't have to burn it. This thing's already smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good right off the bat for old Cory, because she spells it out basically right away. I've been thinking about everything. I, can't stop thinking about our kiss. I need to know if there's an opportunity and a chance we might be able to be something. To which we go to Cory and Shawn, also at school. This is the first episode we're really in the school for whatever reason.
I know.
For 5 minutes.
This is what, 4th episode this season? We're 15 in, and we're
in the
actually
senior
in
hallway, Brett.
Yes,
spent a lot of money.
They
spent a lot of money redressing that original school.
We made a big to-do about renovating this hallway set and turning it 45 degrees.
They added a door on
and
the
a
other
couch.
side.
Okay, that's 90 degrees.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So Cory and Shawn are kind of talking about Valentine's Day because it's, Valentine's Day. And Cory's basically making it clear, like, oh, yeah, I already got all my stuff figured out. Like, nothing to think about, nothing to worry about. I always know what we're going to do.
He marches in the parade.
Yeah. Again, this is where we're hitting clear ego Cory of I am doing everything right.
Yep, this is Cory. I'm back in the saddle again. I fixed everything. And
I've messed up. I really need to make it up to my girlfriend. I think I'm going to have to tell her what happened. Something might go wrong, but I need to be honest with her. I need to really make it up to her. Nope, it's just we're going to relive our first Valentine's date, apparently.
Back at Chubby's.
Yeah. Everything
Cory,
goes back to Chubby's.
Have you noticed Cory swings wildly on the pendulum from really expensive date at Borelli's to really cheap date at Chubby's?
Yeah. You mean the date where everyone takes a date to?
Yeah.
It's taking hundreds of girls to now.
And I have to say, Shawn is freaking out and fretting about a Valentine's date. Now, granted, in Shawn's life experience, And his whole 2-week rule, Valentine's Day date was, I'm sure, was anathema to him because of the implications of if you got a Valentine's Day date, you got yourself a girlfriend, I'm sure. But Shawn's been together with Angela for 3 months at this point. Real world and show world. They got together in November in the show's timeline. They were together before Christmas, and we're in February at Valentine's Day. They've been together for 3 months, and he's still petrified at being the new boyfriend.
Yeah. He's no longer the new boyfriend. He's just the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love his conundrum with the mailman.
Yes. I can't tell him it's in the mail. He's the mailman. I'm just cleaning up from Groundhog Day.
He gave me a Valentine.
I'm just cleaning up from Groundhog Day, and boom, there's a Valentine in the mailbox from the mailman.
So yeah, Cory's way too arrogant for this moment, and I do love the fact that Cory does say, "Hey, Shawn, just do what I do, and you'll be just fine." And immediately Topanga comes up to him, slammed against the wall. "I want to talk to you." "Well, all right." Slams Angela against the clocker. "I want to talk to you."
What makes that joke work is the look that Hunter gives after he's got Angela pinned against the locker. Is this expectant look he turns around with his head with and just kind of waiting for the next move. Like he's got Trina pinned against the locker. He's like,
based on Angela's face, she doesn't seem unhappy about it.
Yeah. But that's all we see of them.
It is a shame. But this is where Topanga confronts him. I like that we're starting off this episode immediately. Topanga finds out and goes to him directly. When were you going to tell me about the letter?
Now.
Now that I'm caught.
Now that you've been back for, I don't know, a few days at least, and you didn't realize that you lost the letter?
Maybe a week at this point. I could see Topanga holding on to this letter for like a few days, maybe a week, but yeah.
And you didn't think that there was a possibility someone else on the trip found it?
Yeah. I like how Cory's like, "Oh yeah, I just figured that it was lost up there." It's like, I'm sorry. Someone hands you a letter, a romantic letter, and you know it's a romantic letter, and you just
slip it in the pocket of your bag. You know you dropped your bag trying to load stuff. You know it got loaded
in front of your girlfriend.
You know it got jostled around in the bus. The letter was not in your pocket. It was your bag. Come on, someone else picked that up, Cory. Don't be a doofus.
Topanga's upset. She wants to talk about it, and Cory is not doing well of communicating. And Topanga makes it very clear she is not happy, and she is really confused right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is fair.
Very fair. You went from, you spent all night talking, you assured me nothing else happened, and now I read this letter that she sent you or gave you. She clearly feels a way about you, and she kissed you, and you didn't tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, when Missy Robinson kissed him, he immediately, the moment he saw her, "Hey, I kissed another person." He should have said, "I was kissed." He didn't. And this go around again, he should have said, I have no choice. I have to tell you this is what happened. And he just doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Should we get to the 3 evil stepsisters there, Brett?
Yeah. We have 3 good on Boy Meets World for actually bringing back these actresses in these same roles. We have Libby Harper, played by Lindsay McKeon, coming back. Second of 2 appearances. This is her last time we'll see her. She was in The Last Temptation of Cory Matthews. We have Dana Pruitt returning, Larissa Olenek. This is her 3rd of 3 appearances of Boy Meets World. She was in The Heart is a Lonely Hunter and Stormy Weather, both in season 3. Shawn's first real girlfriend. And Jennifer Bassett, played by Kristana Loken, second of 2 appearances on Boy Meets World. She was last in An Affair to Forget. Yes, she of keeping Shawn away from Cory because she didn't like Cory. And just wanted control over Shawn.
Now, I have thoughts on the 3 women that they've chosen to bring back, Brett.
Oh,
but
I do too.
I think we need to wait for the trial.
Yes, we'll get to the trial. I'll air my thoughts there too.
Yeah,
they're probably some of the same thoughts anyway.
We've talked about this before, Brett. Low-hanging fruit. This show will take the low-hanging fruit. But I have such a complication with this joke because on some level, I remember as a teenager and as a young kid just finding it so funny, but I know how hard that is for some people to hear a joke like this coming from a character like Cory to Jennifer. However, Jennifer is a horrible person, Brett. She's a bad person.
She is a horrible person. She is always portrayed as a horrible person. And you know what? Cory gives it to her, and she gives it right back to Cory. He doesn't know how to respond. So I'm okay with the joke in this instance.
I normally would. This is a low hanging fruit joke, but on the same token, she's a bad person. Like, and I think, admittedly, too, like she is fully aware that she's not great, and she is I don't know how to say it, a black widow. You know, like she would take pride in that. Like, I don't know, she's the type of woman who will marry a guy just because she knows he's going to be rich.
It really makes me wonder how in the world she and Dana wound up in the same orbit, if it really was that bad to be broken up with by Shawn.
Yeah. So the joke is, Brett, because Jennifer is saying stuff right in front of Cory, and he comes over to her and says, "Yeah, well, I hear you're really
used to be
a guy."
Yeah.
She gives a deep voice.
So?
Yeah, but also Cory and her have such an antagonistic relationship.
Oh,
like,
yeah. She hates him.
If this was a different show where she was one of the main characters, Cory and her would have dated. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just it's a ridiculousness of the show, and I don't know. Yeah, it's that complication, Brett. A 30-year-old show is complicated.
Yeah.
We've covered, Brett.
We have talked ad nauseum
now.
We have talked ad nauseum about how complicated it can be and how some of these jokes don't age well and all the low hanging fruit. Let's go on.
Okay, so anywho, yeah, they're kind of questioning Angela because, hey, Shawn made all these promises and Cory, did this to Topanga. What do you think's going to happen to you?
Yeah, the all men are dogs argument.
Yeah, I figured you were going to have a fun one with this one, Brett.
Yeah.
Man, no female voices on here to defend themselves, but really, Brett, I think it's okay.
I mean, I'll be the first to admit, there's a lot of guys out there that are crap. I'll also be the first to admit, these girls probably dated a lot of guys that were crap, especially Jennifer and probably Libby. Dana,
okay,
probably dated one guy that was.
But here's my problem. They always complain about Shawn and how much of a dog he is and how bad he is and how he's a player. And all of these girls chose to go out with him multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about choices, Brett.
Yeah. But Shawn is the worst of the worst. Shawn is Cujo.
Yeah, Cujo.
Good looking people. If you don't know that joke, check out Stephen King and Cujo.
Yes. Stephen King. He can write great books, but not good endings.
Yeah, I was just going to say, until you get to those last couple of pages.
Yes, so they are quite perturbed because they think that Angela doesn't know him. Honestly, Brett, this is a setup to a movie that would come later on called John Tucker Must Die. Like, these 3 former exes are wanting to bring down this boy who doesn't know how horrible he's being to a new girl, and unfortunately, they're in the wrong because
Maybe we should
Angela does
start
know who
keeping
this
a
guy is.
count as movie plot as episode. Because we know we're getting a Scream episode later.
Oh yes. I do like how some of the things that the girl said to uh, Angela are now like Shawn is almost verbatim saying it back to her.
Mhm.
Like, a little surprise and a little sweetness, and she's almost getting a small little bit of ick because it's like those girls just said exactly what he is saying now.
Mhm.
And instead of being reassured, she's almost a little worried now.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and bring some of my thoughts out here for these three because
Okay.
it was in there talking about some of their issues that it started to bubble up for me. I love the idea of bringing a few ex-girlfriends back for Shawn. I don't know if these were three of the best. Dana, yes, Dana is a fantastic choice. Especially since she was the first real girlfriend we saw. But she talks about her and Shawn having plans for Valentine's Day this year. I call bull. Dana was a girlfriend 2 years ago in season 3. This is season 5.
Right.
Even in a show with as messed up continuity as this is, and Cory as unreliable as a narrator as they come, as we've seen, there is no way in my mind to make it work that they have entered senior year and Shawn has had his first girlfriend clearly before senior year.
I'll rebut that just a smidgen because I do like the fact they mentioned that we made plans for this Valentine's Day. I think meaning that around the time that he was going through his 2-day, 2-week dating phase, I think he reconnected with some of his old flings. One of them being Dana. And I think the whole conversation came up about how romantic it was that he did the picnic for her on Valentine's Day and yada yada. And I think he was like, well, let's do it again. Let's do it this time. And the whole point of part of this is that he kept making promises, like his father, that his butt could not cash. So my assumption, just throwing it out there, Brett, that yes, he said what he said to her to say the thing he thought he needed to say, and hoping that he could get the thing he wanted, aka he was not good to her.
I would say maybe, except for the way she describes their initial relationship falling apart, where he effectively ghosts her.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
could see
I
that
don't think
too.
she would give him the time of day again after that. But anyway, Libby and Shawn, that was a one night thing where they made out for a couple of hours and they were done. That was the extent of their involvement. And Jennifer, she dumped him and then forced him to choose between her and Cory. She was the driver in that entire relationship.
Correct.
She is
I
not a good example to choose for this one. Dana,
Brett, I
yes.
agree with you.
So I just, yeah.
They're doing a lot of old work. They're doing a lot of
Mhm.
stuff we didn't see on screen that Shawn rebounded, I think, because it made it clear he was making out with Libby for a few hours at her house, and
Mhm.
then later on that night he had another date with Jennifer. Whether that date was whenever they were first dating, or again, he rebounded to her once again, because he makes clear he has a little black book of all the girls he's ever dated. And there's a strong chance, Brett, he has gone back through that black book to see is there anything with this girl again? Because I'd like to make out with that girl again. Shawn is a Ted Mosby in this moment, Brett. He will redate a girl and make promises to her, but realize she's not the one and will ghost them.
I think I'm falling in love with you.
I'm thinking of the girl that he broke up with on her birthday twice.
Oh yes. Oh, what was her name? Anyway, I do find the joke about the John Adams High paparazzi
Yes.
kind of funny.
It's already in the paper that Cory and Topanga are breaking up.
Oh, fun fact! I did see it pointed out in a note somewhere, and I remembered it when I saw it pointed out. When Topanga is chased through the hall by she calls Ira a Jimmy Olsen freak.
Mhm.
Kristana Loken, the girl who plays Jennifer Bassett, she was on an episode of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman as playing a girl who starts a relationship with Jimmy Olsen, thinking that he is Superman.
Interesting.
So I just find that funny. She's standing right there. She calls Ira the Jimmy Olsen freak. You know? But yeah, I mean, in this hyper realistic world, Cory and Topanga being the it couple at John Adams High,
Right.
gossip,
Now-
we know gossip spreads at the speed of light. Sure.
Brett, the last thing I want to say about the whole these girls and the dating situations, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
In a regular high school, and potentially as a close-knit community, as Cory has with his high school classmates, I know plenty of people, Brett, who dated someone, they broke up, they dated again one more time for a week or two, broke up, and then their junior year, out of nowhere, they're dating this person again. You're like, when'd you two get together? And I was like, I don't know. We were hanging out at a party and we were giggling about how, we used to date, and then we just started making out and we decided, let's get back together. So Shawn seems like the type of guy, unfortunately. And again, we had season 4, which we, in our headcanon, is 2 years worth of time that we didn't fully get to see everything that occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm okay with it.
All right.
So the next scene, Brett, is at the apartment. We finally get to see Jack and Eric. We didn't get to see them at all last week.
No, none of the parents or brothers or sisters were in the last episode. It was just the main core.
Mm-hmm. And so they're commiserating because Valentine's Day is a bad holiday because neither one of them have dates.
Yep. It's not that. It's not us. It's them. type of deal.
Yeah. I like how they're like, hey, I got an idea. Next year, let's have dates for Valentine's Day.
Right after saying having a date on Valentine's Day is like an IOU for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Eric telling, well, I don't know if I like it, but I find it humorous. Eric telling Shawn, don't give her candy, give her cash.
Give her cash. Yeah, but I like how, Shawn's happy. He's ready for his date and he's got candy for her.
It sticks out to Jack that his little brother cares enough about a girl that he's going to go have a Valentine's Day date with her.
Yeah. Well, I think he has to know that he's been dating the same girl for 3 months, so I think he's excited for him.
Yeah. I mean, come on. He went on a road trip out to San Diego with him a few weeks ago.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Angela's nowhere near that episode. I wonder why.
Yeah.
So anywho, Brett, there's a knock at the door, and there's a little
pounding
card
at the door.
It's true.
That was not a very gentle knock.
That's because we heard she's a guy.
I didn't even go there. But it's funny now. Yeah.
So anywho, there's a knock at the door, and Shawn goes and reads a little love note and giving an address for Shawn and her to rendezvous
to a boathouse. What? Angela has been adamant with Shawn up to this point. She doesn't want anything big or fancy or special for this date. So all of a sudden, and she's been up front with Shawn through, I'm assuming she's been up front through their entire relationship up to this point. We have no reason to believe otherwise. Why would she go and change their date all of a sudden? And Shawn just buys it, takes it at face value, other than maybe because he's so freaked out about being the boyfriend on a Valentine's Day date all of a sudden. But he doesn't question it.
Yeah. No, he doesn't. Dates? Definitely dates.
Yeah. I do like the boathouse set, this redressed wilderness store set.
This set is really nice.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the wilderness store. It looks a lot like the ski lodge.
Got some canoes around and fishing gear.
Yeah, I do. I like the way they redressed it. It looks kind of nice. Yeah, I'd like to go down to that boathouse.
Oh gosh. So anywho, yeah, he walks in. Is your Valentine's here? It's me, Shawn. And then Jennifer walks in, and
men don't know a trap set by their ex-girlfriends when they walk right into it.
Dana locks him up, and he's not upset.
Your tastes have changed since our last date when we went skiing or skating.
Yeah. And then Libby comes around with duct tape and duct tapes his mouth.
And the trial of Shawn Hunter can begin.
Yeah, Brett, can we? This is a crime.
Yes, this is kidnapping. This is false imprisonment, and this borders on torture.
The moment, okay, one could argue, Brett, that luring him into a place, okay, I get it, and handcuffing him is one thing, but once you put duct tape on someone, you've crossed a line, and that line is duct tape.
These three girls have, and let's be clear, they are still high schoolers, and traditionally in 1998, 3 female high school seniors would typically be 17 still, which they're still minors, yes, but they would be charged as adults. These 3 girls have just committed 2, if not 3 felonies each. And if the judge really or the prosecutor really wanted to get them, they could throw in the invitation as some sort of identity theft or falsification there to get Shawn there. Like, these girls have just committed serious crimes.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that Jennifer's parents are so rich they have a lawyer on retainer, so it doesn't matter. Or her father is a lawyer, so she thinks daddy will get me out of it.
And unless this is Jennifer's property, I'm assuming this is either some boathouse in a public park, or this is somewhere that they rented. But even if it is, they violated some real terms of service there too.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we go back to the apartment.
Let's look past the felonies.
Yeah, let's look past the felonies, the potential prison sentence that should occur.
Yeah.
So I like how we go back to the apartment. Angela's there, and Eric and Jack are quite alarmed. I mean, in fairness to them, how long ago did Shawn leave for their date?
Yeah, we don't know. We assume, I don't know, half hour maybe.
Yeah,
we don't know.
So I think it's important to take each accusation step by step, Brett.
Yep.
So first up is Libby, and she says, "You said you were going to call, and you never did. One night of kissing, and you were out the door. You think that didn't mean anything to me?" Shawn tries to respond. But Shawn's response is, "It was just kissing. I didn't know it meant anything." Libby says, "I say we move right to the penalty phase."
Libby is Libby's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Now, and that's the thing, Brett. If this is just taking into account of their date in season 3, where
Mhm.
they're at Missy Robinson's house and it's just the two of them making out for a little bit before Missy's dad gets home, I could see this meaning nothing to Shawn. However, if in the past year Shawn did go to her house specifically to quote unquote go on a date where the two of them made out for hours, as kind of stated, that could be reasonable of like a more recent thing of being upset for her.
Mhm.
If he treated her just like another 2-week girl, maybe he wasn't communicating at this point of his 2-week rule. Or maybe this
Yep.
is during the area of the 1-week rule, potentially.
Very potentially. Because during season 3, that was clearly 20 minutes, half hour tops that they were over there before Dad came home. Because there's no way Cory was able to fend off, to keep himself safe that long, any longer than that.
Yeah.
So, a half hour at her house. We'll say, I say I can definitely see Shawn giving her, we'll say during the 1-week rule era.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can give her that one. And Shawn
Yep.
didn't communicate well. All right. So kissing doesn't mean anything to him.
Right, because it doesn't mean anything. I do like this running bit of where Jennifer's trying to figure out where she stands with him, and every time she goes, "Well, what about me?" He's like, "You were
one." Where do you think you
Yeah, I don't
stand
think
with him?
they had any dating in between the time that they broke up.
Oh no.
I'm hoping as much. Maybe he was another 1-weeker. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think Shawn ever went back to her. I don't think Cory and Topanga would have let Shawn go back to her. Not after all the work to get him away from her.
Yeah. Kind of just goes back and forth of you said you cared about me. It's like, yeah, I did at the time. It's like, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? We see through the window that Eric and Jack are there. How they had the specific address, who knows? Maybe this is just a magical boathouse that everyone is aware of.
I figured it either had to be a well-known boathouse or Eric and Jack saw enough of the address they could tell.
Right. They figured out, or they knew what area and they just kept looking in every window.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a minute, he's in handcuffs. That little devil.
Hello. I did clip, I think I'd clip this.
Wait a minute. He's handcuffed. That little devil. I don't think he's enjoying it. That's his problem.
That's his problem.
Eric and Jack get a little, okay, not a little bit. Eric and Jack get a lot creepy here at this point in the episode.
I mean, one could argue they're just being college students in a high school TV show.
Yeah, but I'll weigh in more on that later.
Hey, Brett, in a few weeks, they both say, "Hey, virgins always live," and they both looked around and said, "I'm dead. I'm dead.
I'm dead." I'll get as sick as you can without actually dying.
Yeah, I'll get as sick as I can without actually dying.
Yeah, but with all the things with the girls, and this is why I love them bringing back Libby, because it gives them a chance to really explain what happened, why we never saw Libby again after those 2 episodes. That relationship just kind of disappeared. Shawn ghosted her. I totally buy that. That is right within what would have happened.
Yeah.
For
that Shawn Hunter, yes.
Jennifer should not have been one of them, because we saw Jennifer through the entire episode. She was evil incarnate. She has no reason to think that Shawn was anything to her other than a pet. She has some sort of narcissistic personality disorder. She thinks Shawn was anything more than a pet to her, that she has to figure out what she was to him.
Well, I guess my thinking is that like Dana's still hurt by Shawn. Libby also was hurt by Shawn. And misery loves company. And so I think she just kind of feeds into it. Like, oh yeah, Shawn did these things to me too, girls, even though he didn't.
Anyway,
I do like that we go to the Matthews' kitchen, back in the kitchen, not the
Yep,
living
yep.
room. And Morgan comes in from a box from Henry. Hey, Henry. And one from Jimmy. And she can't decide which one she wants to be her boyfriend yet.
Yep. They're
And
raising
that
a
is
very
all she has done for
fickle
the past
daughter.
couple of weeks.
Yes, that's all we've gotten from her.
Yes.
Alan and Amy are raising a very fickle daughter.
Yeah. In the one scene that Alan and Amy are in, Alan apparently has forgotten that it was Valentine's Day. Maybe he was too busy at the store that he runs all by himself. And so he just starts handing out cash. And Amy's just like, yes, I will take. Yes, I will take. Yes, I will take.
Well, I knew you were watching your weight. Oh, yeah. Eric said you would like cash. And that's why I pointed out Eric's idea. Because Alan leans back on it.
So, Brett, here's a question for you. Have you ever ordered roses for Kelly the night of Valentine's Day?
I have not. And I do know roses are expensive anytime. I do know 10 dozen roses would cost Cory out the butt. And on Valentine's Day, there's no way he's getting 10 roses without paying an arm and a leg out the butt. Cory doesn't have that money. If the florist has any roses left.
Yeah, exactly. It's way late at night. They're getting ready to close shop. 10 dozen roses, please.
Yeah.
Do they not realize that 10 dozen roses means over 120 roses?
There's no way there's a florist in Philly that's got that many roses left in the shop at that point.
Yeah. It legit reminds me of the proposal in Gilmore Girls. That's like you're surrounded by 1,000 roses, and 1,000 roses just aren't impressive enough, so they had to get 10 times that. I know you don't like that show.
No, it's not that I don't like it. I just never really watched it.
That'd be a fun podcast. Force you to watch Gilmore Girl.
I know that Dean Winchester was in it for about a season, but
You mean Sam?
Yeah, sorry, Sam. I don't know why I said Dean.
Yes. Sam played the character of Dean.
Yes, because his Dean Padalecki.
Hey, if someone gave you 10 dozen roses on Valentine's Day in high school, how would you feel about that?
Well, in high school, probably stupidly happy.
Yeah.
Ask her how long
What if they
she'd wear a
ordered
promise
on
ring.
Valentine's night.
Why didn't they give them to me earlier?
Thank you.
Ask her how long she'd wear a promise ring she got at Christmas.
Ooh, that's a great question. How long would you wear a promise ring for?
What do you mean?
If I got you a promise ring when we first started dating, how long would you wear that sucker for?
Again, stupidly young, so until you piss me off. I'll probably still wear it.
Right.
Wait,
so,
no, now we're married, then I don't.
But would you wear that like on your ring finger, like your left ring finger?
No. Not an engagement ring.
Okay, we're trying to understand. We're trying to track of how long they actually wear the promise rings for, and in their last episode, it didn't seem like they wore it at all.
Wait, when did they get promise rings?
Christmas. And they're in February of the Christmas they just got promise rings.
I mean, I would still wear them, like especially in high school because stupidly in love. High
Yep.
school.
Hey, we were stupidly in love in college.
Anyway, back to the trial
So
of Shawn
anywho.
Hunter.
Yes, back to the trial of Shawn Hunter. Well, also, before we get there, though, Brett, because Cory,
Oh yeah, we're
it's on
still
a phone
in the
call.
kitchen.
It gets interrupted, and that always happens for Cory. I'll call you back. It's like, how many businesses do you think are waiting on Cory to return call to finish business with him?
Yeah.
They're
gonna close up shop before he calls back.
Angela's there, like, hey, did your friend stand me up? And he's like, no, he wouldn't do that. It's like, where is he?
Is Shawn here?
Right. But also, like, what other response could they have? Like, they don't know where he is. They don't know what happened to him. Like, all they knew was they're already on the date.
Yeah, I thought he was with you. That's the other response.
This is the 90s.
But he's not with you?
Yeah. I like how they call, or Eric calls him, apparently, cell phone, maybe?
It could be a payphone down. If they're at a boathouse,
Maybe.
I'm sure there's a payphone there. If it
Well,
unless
let's
it's
go with the payphone.
unless it's Libby's, there's a payphone there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I just like how this, like, yeah, do you know where he's at? I got them both doing it.
Yeah, Angela's right here. I do love the runner. It's a fun runner.
So yeah, we get back to the trial. Now it's Dana's turn. Then he said he wanted to be my boyfriend and only go out with me, and I believed him. And you said you liked me, but you just didn't love like me. So I'm assuming this is around the time they were starting to cool things down.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand him actually. Yeah. But then when he stopped calling, I understood that. So they were talking, they were dating, and then Shawn just stopped calling her.
Yeah.
And apparently her phone is broken and she doesn't know how to call him.
Yeah,
or see him at school.
Yeah, apparently that's the extent of it. So it was effectively two-sided ghosting. But either way, Shawn stopped putting in the work, so Dana decided. And remember, when they started the relationship, Dana was very, very much resistant to the idea of Shawn being her boyfriend because she didn't believe he could do the work to be a boyfriend. Right. And when Shawn stopped putting in the work, Dana realized that she was right. And so that's probably why she didn't put in the effort then. And she realized that she was right all along.
Then, of course, Libby continues. He came to my house. We made out for like 3 hours. I said, I like you, Shawn, and I thought you liked me. Shawn responds, I did, but people grow apart, and I had another date that night. Yeah, with me. Sorry, Lib, says Jennifer. Like, you are not innocent in this.
Yeah, and not to make light of it or anything, but you made out for 3 hours. That's not a relationship. That's not, I'm your girlfriend, you're my boyfriend. That's, we made out for 3 hours. And you left.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, we started, that's not like with Dana where they had something that went on and you built something and then you walked away from it. That's, we had a makeout session.
Yeah.
Not that can't hurt, but
Brett, even you as a growing up as a homeschooler, you recognize that as not dating.
Yes, clearly.
I like how Jack busted the door. How about witness for the defense? Jack, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
What's up?
Yes, I wrote that down too. Oh, yeah.
But I do like in this moment how Eric kind of locks eyes with Jennifer. Like in some twisted way, the two of them relate to each other. And I love
Yeah.
the idea that very quickly Eric's like, "You're a bad, bad man."
Oh, I've got that. Let's watch
Yes,
this play out.
please.
We don't want her to get hurt like he hurt us, so he's on trial for sins against womanhood.
I gotta go. Yow. Look, Shawn's my brother, okay? He's a good guy, and any girl will be lucky to have him.
And what about you?
Eric, you know me. Tell her what kind of guy I am so I can get out of here. You're pretty. He's a bad, bad man. Jack, I was supposed to meet Angela over an hour ago. Help me out here. I object.
On what grounds?
He doesn't know any better. He's a man. Lousy. No good man, just like the rest of us. Oh, God, why was I born with this curse?
Just feels like the two of them realize there's 3 pretty girls in front of them and decide, as much as I want to help Shawn, I have the intention
There's
of
a
3
chance
pretty
at a
girls.
Valentine's Day date with 3 girls. Yeah.
I'm not seeing where it says you made plans with me 6 months ago, but I know it's in here. I watched the episode. It's before Topanga shows up.
Yeah, it's somewhere after this, between here and when there's a surprise witness. Dana does say you made a promise to me 6 months ago, but he
Right,
hasn't dated her since he lived with Turner.
Right. Again, unless they started dating again during the 2-week policy.
Yeah, but with everything that I just went over, I can't buy that she gave him another chance like that. I just can't see it with as resistant as she was going into it.
I get it, Brett, but
Yeah.
high school.
I know, but even with high school, they wrote her character as such a strong girl with strong convictions. She fought it. It took him nearly freezing himself to get her to give him a chance. And after him walking away after that, I can't envision the character they wrote giving him another shot after that.
I fully agree with what you're saying. And let me say, Brett, taco.
Oh, yes. I've worked with teenagers enough to know that rationality does not always win out in the end. But I've also worked with girls who do carry trauma from relationships and do learn from it. So they've written Dana intelligent enough that I will buy that she's intelligent enough to not make the same mistake twice like that.
All right. I support your desire to have your rose-colored glasses, Brett.
But I will say, I get a lot of ick from Jack and Eric in the boathouse here.
A little bit, yeah.
Eric took a gap year before going to Pembroke. Eric is 20, we'll say. Yeah. Libby is 17. Now, granted,
maybe 18, though.
Maybe 18. But
I guess, honestly, I think Jennifer's probably 19, Brett. I think she got held back a year.
And I mean, yes, it's not a great distance. And yes, it is definitely not uncommon for a high school senior to have a significant other in college. But going back to 1998, even, it's just, it does not sit well with me for whatever reason to see all of this go on, especially seeing what was happening when they came in the room, that these girls had kidnapped Shawn, had held him against his will, and they were willing to just flip sides just to get with these high school girls. It really just does not look right to me. And that's really where the ick comes from.
I agree. Okay. I'll put my rose-colored glasses on, Brett. Honestly, I just think that Misery Hearts love Misery Hearts, and they literally went to, I don't know, let's just say Chubby's or somewhere else like Chubby's, or even to the guy's apartment, and they just commiserated over Shawn's the worst, Cory's the worst, and the guys flirted with them and made them feel good for the night, and then they did something dumb that messed it up, and then the girls walked away because they
Oh,
realized we don't want to be here.
I don't doubt that nothing came from it. We know that none of them stick around. We don't see them ever again. I'm just saying the situation, I just don't like it.
I agree. There's definitely ick involved. But Angela does show up, and she's quite upset with what's happening.
Mm-hmm. As she should be.
And honestly, Angela's inconvenienced by these girls more than she was going to be inconvenienced by Shawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Like,
you kidnapped him and kept him from our date so that he wouldn't hurt me by not going to our date.
But I mean, I will say that Shawn does reveal at the beginning of the episode. We didn't talk about this yet, but he's the one that told Cory, "Don't tell Topanga about the kiss." He knew about the kiss, and he said that. So Angela
Yeah.
is a little on the worried side of, well, if that's the advice he's giving him, what advice is he thinking in his head if he messes up with me?
It did bother me that they let that drop so quickly when he told her that it was his idea. That really didn't go anywhere, that they didn't really sit with that much.
Yeah. I mean, I think the actors themselves made choices in their acting that portrayed that they both felt weird about it, but they had to move on because episodes got an episode. We
Yeah.
got to get to the jokes. And the joke is that Shawn has to be tied up and felonies have to be committed. And the whole reason we did this, Brett, was to find out, can Cory and Topanga make this work?
Yes, because Topanga would totally be the surprise witness at a felony-laden mock trial that Cory just might happen to show up at.
Yeah.
So are we saying here that in the back of their minds, all three of these girls planned this all out so that Angela and Cory would eventually show up?
It makes it seem like, in my head as a kid, I thought Topanga was the person that set all this stuff in motion, Brett. I thought she was the mastermind. Or now as an adult, I'm just guessing these girls invited her and she said, I got nothing better to do. My boyfriend sucks.
Yeah, because honestly, neither one is a good look. Either these three girls masterminded this whole thing to work out this well, or got lucky, and Topanga is so hurt that she's willing to watch her best friend's relationship be put through some pain just to potentially see if her dog of a boyfriend shows up and says what he needs to say, or she herself masterminded this plot that will put her best friend and her relationship through some pain just to see if her boyfriend will go. Neither one's a good look.
Yeah. Well, Brett, one of the things that you've spoken very openly about is so often Cory gets let off the hook way too easily by Topanga. He makes poor choices. He apologizes, but doesn't really go the extra mile in an apology. He just kind of, it's a little too easy. And I feel like outside of just the kiss and everything that happened, I think Topanga's finally over that. Like, Cory's like, hey, let's just start over. Let's just, let's go have our first date again. And she's kind of looking like, I don't want to start over. Like, starting over cannot always be our answer.
Yeah, and I am so proud of her as to be able to say that and say, look, no, this happened. We can't just pretend it didn't happen and start over again. We need to work through this. And I don't know if I can trust you.
Yeah. And I like that Shawn kind of goes through the speech and kind of making clear, like, this whole time I've basically won what Cory and Topanga have, but I don't really want that. What I want is whatever we are going to be. And I want to try to be more of a friend and focus in on not the romantic stuff, but on the knowing who you are, and through that seeing what our relationship can be, which is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Which is what I wanted to tell him back in Chasing Angela. I'm sure if
Yep.
we rewind the tape, that's almost verbatim what I wanted him to learn.
And now let's go back to what you said before.
Good looking people. I did not take the time to go and edit that in, but we'll assume I did.
Come on, Brett, you have the time.
But that's exactly what, that's exactly how our conversation went. I complained over and over again that I hated the idea of looking at another relationship and saying that I want that you should want your own relationship to be your own relationship. And I love the fact that Shawn sees that he needs to build it on a solid foundation of friendship, that he needs to build that relationship before he focuses so much on the romantic part of it, and that he doesn't need to look at someone else's romantic relationship and mimic that. And I honestly, I'll tip my hand a little bit here. These two moments between Cory and Topanga and Shawn and Angela are the only things that keep this from being an abysmal failure of an episode.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I do like how Shawn essentially asked Cory, "Would you like to come and play my role now? Would you like to come be kind of the third wheel in our relationship?" Not necessarily in that way, but like, do you want to come and just hang out with us, the happy couple, and you
Yeah.
can come kind of just spend time with us? That would be okay with us. Would you like to do that? He's like, no, no, no. I am gonna go to Chubby's, where Topanga is gonna show up, and her and I are gonna have our date.
Cory's delusional.
Yes, and that's the we've officially hit the wall of Cory believes he can do the bare minimum once again and get the thing he desires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know we talked last episode about where Cory learned the behavior of lying to Topanga, and we talked a little bit about maybe even the little white lies of don't tell your mom from younger, where him and Alan would like stay up late, and maybe that influenced a little bit. But this idea that we've seen of him, doing the bare minimum and let's start over, and I don't know if I see that in Alan and Amy's relationship so much. And I wonder where he gets this, and I don't know that we can really answer that, but I wonder where he sees that in his world, that's how you build a relationship. And it could have something to do with the fact that they've written him and Topanga to have been together since they were 4. And that they started building the idea of a romantic relationship when they were 4, supposedly, with those types of immature ideas, and that's what he built them upon.
I mean, in fairness, they got together in 8th grade. They broke up. They got back together, and they've essentially dated their whole high school career.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now seniors, and they're getting ready for college. They've sent out their applications to college, and now they're just waiting to find out what's next in their lives.
Yep.
And I think the problem is that when they got back together, they said, "What are we doing? We're starting over?" And it's like, "Yeah, we're starting over." But then we did start they've been dating since essentially they were 4 years old. And so, and it does feel like potentially anytime they have problems or issues, they kind of have a tiff that is a breakup, quote unquote, because they technically break up in 8th grade after he says, "I love you" to her. And she doesn't know how to feel. She says, "I'm breaking up with you." And Cory's like, "Well, that's dumb. I want my jacket back." And then they're dating still without saying it. And it's just this potentially part of their maturing. It probably just is them needing to mature. Like, if my wife and I had met before I graduated high school, like when I was a senior in high school strong, I don't think I was mature enough to meet her and make a good impression.
Mhm.
Graduating and being done with school, yes. I mean, I technically met her right before I graduated, but I was done. Like, all that was left was just kind of running out the clock for a week.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, there is a difference. And as you are about to make steps onto the next path of life, you realize really poor choices you've made. And I think Topanga's realized that we've made some mistakes in this relationship. And it's bigger than just my boyfriend stayed up late talking to a girl, lied about it, and then they kissed each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem with them.
Yep. And she moved from Pitts. She moved across the state to continue to be in this relationship. And
Yeah.
she's seeing the cracks
Mhm.
that have been there that she's kind of been ignoring.
Yeah. Well, and I know we're not there yet, but spoiler alert, they do break up soon, and it's a very powerful scene. I know. But
It happened 30 years ago.
to get back to this moment though, Brett, I do love that the two boys, they're kind of looking at these women who, well, our plan was to torture these two boys and now they're gone. And oh look, their older good-looking brothers are here.
So
Make
they're
clear, no lies, no false promises, and Eric is sitting on Jennifer's lap.
just like he was with Jack's date the other episode, two episodes ago. Yeah.
This aggressive flirting is working for Jennifer.
It is. Eric and Jennifer. Yeah, I mean, Will has chemistry with everyone, but
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine a world where Eric and Jennifer become a thing and Cory has to live the rest of his life with Jennifer at every family reunion, every Christmas, when they have kids, that he has to deal with the fact that his nieces and nephews came from her.
I kind of want to see it, and I kind of don't.
Yeah, well, that's because we don't like the character Jennifer, and we want Eric to end up with someone who's better than her.
Yes, I do. But
Yes.
Eric
But
and
I do
Jack
love that they start to walk out.
Eric goes back for the handcuffs.
He does go back to the handcuffs. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So much for how Jack put it about their intentions. No bad intentions, or however he put it.
No lies, no false promises.
Yeah. But Eric's got something in mind.
He's just gonna go grab something that's just hanging. It's just a piece of metal that he's grabbing.
He's
Brett,
being a good Boy Scout and being prepared.
Yeah. Be prepared. But this time, Brett, we actually do have a
we do have a tag.
A tag, but it's a somber one with no lines. It's just the Chubby's crew cleaning up, and Angela and Shawn are just sitting there at a table, and Cory's just apparently sitting at the booth where Cory and Topanga had their first date, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and again, another somber end in this little train of somberness, Brett.
Yep.
And that is our episode.
So, Tyler, let's talk about deep dives.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Okay, I want to start just super quick with Libby Harper because I had to relook up where and when her and Shawn actually dated. Because of the three, she's the one that bothers me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Not because the actress isn't good, not because of anything that she does in this episode that really throws me off. I remember as a kid looking and being like, who is that girl and when did they date? And, we see it is literally just with Missy Robinson. She is the other friend that Shawn ends up going off to another closet to make out with. And that's
Mhm.
the only other time she's on the show. Um, Again, the actress does a fantastic job. I wonder just as they would reach out, they realize, oh, this girl, like that her, Dana, and Jennifer all look similar enough, also different just enough, and their interactions with Shawn have been just different enough that we could really play with this. Like that's really what I'm wondering about. Or if it's just someone in the show really liked her when she was on and like, hey, let's give her another opportunity.
Mhm.
But, again, it is someone from his past. I like that it's not just a random girl we've never met before. But honestly, like you could add in outside of her any of the other girls that had like a one-time date with her. Um, there's Lisa and Debbie. I know there's no
Debbie.
Debbie, but I can't remember
I
the
like
other girl's
Debbie.
name. But there are other girls he dates very short term, that could have been them. But at the end of the day, they chose three girls who were all different enough and had different experiences with him, but all have rage. The only other note I marked down was Libby and Jennifer having a date with him on the same day is just fascinating to me. And when did that date occur?
I'm curious if they wrote the characters before they reached out and found the actresses, or if they wrote around which actresses they had available.
Very true.
I'd love to know that.
Jimmy Olsen, Brett, as you are well aware, and some people may or may not know, but he is the famous photographer from the Superman comics. Worked specifically with Lois Lane and Clark Kent, and his boss was Perry White. His original appearance was Action Comet 6 in November 1980 or 38, sorry. Created by Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, and Bob Maxwell. Full name James Bartholomew Olsen. I now have a question for you that I need to ask you off mic. I will say that there were several people who were upset that Jimmy Olsen was in the Snyder Cut for less than 5 minutes and was killed off almost immediately.
Yeah, there were a lot.
I was not one of them.
No.
The other reporter person that they mentioned, I don't know for sure if this is the person, but this is someone that it could have been because she just said Ira, and that was it.
Mhm.
So I found Ira Jeffrey Glass, who is a American public radio personality, host and producer of radio television series This American Life, and has participated on uh, NPR programs, including Morning Edition, All Things Considered, and Talk of the Nation. So there's a very strong chance that could be him that she was referring to. He's been active on TV and radio since 1978, so would be very well established, and someone like Topanga would know who that is. There was a thing of another Ira on a different program for PBS, but I'm not 100% sure which one she's referring to because she just says Ira. So the one thing I want to mention, Brett, is there was a sign in at the school in right behind the couch that said, I believe it said lovers only, lovers parking only, all else will be told.
Mhm.
I have a sign that's very similar to that, but it says Tyler's parking only. All loads would be towed. I had that for years on like right behind like a toilet seat of mine because I always thought that was funny to claim that as my seat and all others aren't welcome.
Oh yeah,
But
see,
those
I
commemorative and personalized signs are popular and famous. I could not find a lick of where they started, what happened. Every time I tried to find these things, all I could find was information of now, how to make one now, not the information on who started making them. So I'm very frustrated on that front. But just know, good looking people, if you want to make a sign that says you're parking only or something else personalized, it's out there.
yes,
And
I'm
last
looking
but
at a
not
screen
least,
cap of it right now.
last but not least, Brett, Valentine's Day, also called Saint Valentine's Day or the Feast of Saint Valentine's, is celebrated annually on February 14th. It originated as a Christian feast day honoring a uh, martyr named Valentine, and through later folks' tradition also became a significant cultural, religious, commercial celebration of romance and love in many regions of the world. Um, Part of the ethos was that Saint Valentine was marrying people, even though he wasn't supposed to be marrying people, and so people of authority didn't like that, so they got rid of him. Um, I think Barney Stinson also shows this out very well. But really, it's the bro Valentine, or I can't remember what the actual thing was, but basically the cousin of Saint Valentine,
Yeah,
um, Broventine or something like that. So,
something like that.
honestly, I don't have a lot of deep dives, Brett, and that's it.
All right. Well, in that case, let's move on to what did we learn?
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Tyler, what did you learn?
I learned that Mr. Feeney doesn't care about love. Where is Feeney? Feeney knew something was happening. Where is he? Is he too busy being an educator at English and history and film study and lost and found and being the principal that he can't pay attention to the suffering of his students?
I think you answered your own
Amy and Alan,
question.
where are they? Like, what's happening? I get they have their own thing going on where Alan wasn't paying attention, but, didn't notice that Cory was acting weird or didn't ask him, how was the ski trip? Like, how was things with Topanga? Like, at least assuming everything is good unless you come and tell me, like, there's no action whatsoever for the parents. And a boy was kidnapped.
Where are the
Not a
police?
thing done.
Yeah, I was bugged by the lack of interest from Amy and Alan too, but with as jovial as Cory was being ordering those roses, I think he probably kept up a pretty happy front around home. I don't think he wanted to admit that anything had happened.
Fair.
But yeah, where was Feeney? I think you answered your own question though. I think he was too busy with all the other stuff. I learned that we should be careful when we make a promise. Shawn was pretty willy-nilly with all of his promises he made, and it came back to bite him. So he taught us that we need to be very careful when we make our promises. If we're going to say we're going to do something, we need to do everything we can to actually follow through.
Very fair. Very fair.
So
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
Brett, can
one
you
other
go first,
one other
please?
lesson. Yeah, one other
Yes,
lesson.
good.
Good looking people. Don't kidnap people and hold them against their will. They're
Put
felonies.
duct tape on their mouth.
And put duct tape on their mouth. Those are felonies, and you will go to jail. All right. My grade, I tipped my hand earlier. I said there were those two moments with Cory and Topanga and with Shawn and Angela at the end that kept this from being an abysmal failure. This is a D- of an episode for me. There is very little about it that is redeeming. Story wise, there's a lot of holes that I've got to do a lot of gymnastics to make work outside of Dana. There are disappointing character motivations and reactions that I've got to do a lot of work to make jive with established character behavior. So it's such a mess. So it's a D- for me.
Fair. That's very fair. So here's the thing. It could be nostalgia because I remember watching this episode as a kid and finding it hilarious. I didn't understand the whole handcuffs and duct tape and all that jazz.
Oh, there are very funny parts.
I think I have a soft spot for this episode, not just because of the stuff that you mentioned, but this is a good continuation of the Cory messed up. And if you think about it, this really is a trial of, did the things that Cory do to Topanga, does that warrant a skewering, essentially? Like, should we rake him over the coals? And they even say, Cory Matthews is a nice guy. If he can do this, why can't any guy do this? And so I think the only way that I can justify the grade I'm about to give is if, headcanon for me is Cory Matthews is the guy that all the girls at their school, at least in their grade, looked at and said, hey, at least we know Cory's a good guy. And Cory Matthews really messed up. And with him messing up, it kind of messed with all their psyches and said, if this guy is willing to cheat on Topanga, isn't every guy willing to cheat, essentially? So I'm giving this episode a B- because it is continuing this very important story. It has this really should be called Heartbreak Cory Part 2. Next episode should be Heartbreak Cory Part 3. and then there was Shawn. And then we should have Heartbreak Cory Part 4. Heartbreak Cory Part 5. Like, it really is like this whole storyline of very intense episodes. And this is the lighthearted portion of that. And I give credit to especially a lot of the young actors in these scenes, because the adults aren't doing anything. They didn't do anything last episode. They're not doing anything this episode. And they're really left up to their own devices to figure out, we have a problem. How are we going to get out of this problem? And in the past, they would have gotten scolded because you tried to solve this problem without us. And, so what if a couple of cute girls, terrorize and kidnap and commit a bunch of felonies? Previous boyfriend, who cares? Yeah, at the end of the day, of all the episodes in this season, Brett, and in this saga, this is the fun one. It is.
Fair.
And kudos to these three women, these three actors, because they really commanded this episode.
They did. Yeah. I mean, the
As
actresses
much
did a
as-
fantastic job.
Yeah. So, and I think that's also part of within us going through this thing again is I want to make sure we're giving credences to those who really are carrying different episodes. And really, this episode was carried by three characters that we haven't seen in a long time. Like, they, in a weird way, gave them the spotlight and they did good. Like, outside of the fact they committed felonies to make the storyline happen.
I find it funny that every third sentence is this qualifier of except for the felonies.
I mean, Brett, if I found out that someday my oldest child was handcuffed and duct taped in a secluded area, and 3 past girlfriends were calling him out, I would be very conflicted. Because on one hand,
Oh,
my
yes.
first question would be, what did you do to these girls to cause them to think this is the best way forward?
Oh, yes. That would be my first question.
The next thing is, let's get in the car and go talk to the police because
Mhm.
this is not right.
Yeah. I think I'm going to modify my grade a little bit because the bones are here. It is a continuation of Heartbreak Cory. I'm going to bump it up to a D. Because the story does continue, and it does show more consequences. It does show continuing consequences. So I'm going to bump it up to a D.
And it's a Cory who was so cocky again right off the bat and was drop kicked down where he needed to be.
Yeah. Drop kick his heart in the butt.
Yeah.
Or something like that. All right. I believe you owe me some dad jokes.
I do. So, Brett, here we go. These are dad. These are dad jokes, Brett, based on Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
All right. So, why do skunks love Valentine's Day?
Why?
Because they're sensual.
I knew it had to be sent, but I couldn't make it work.
All right. Let me give you another one. Okay. What did one piece of toast say to the other?
I don't know. What did one piece of toast say to the other?
You're my butter half.
That's good. That's a classic.
Oh, can't think of any better ones on that one, Brett.
All right. Well, in that case, good-looking people, that's it for us for this Valentine's Day episode at the beginning of December. Remember, you can find us online at all of our social media portals at dadsmeetworld across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, YouTube, and you can email us at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. And if you want some Christmas swag for yourself or your family, all of your friends that are fans of the Dad Love, dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. Well, until next time, where we will explore the return of Lauren in Torn Between Two Lovers, feeling like a fool.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. We'll see you, good looking.
Back to you, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? Topanga. I want to be normal, Spud.
We are the Timmers.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.
Sorry, ho. When you get about the apartment. I figured you'd like that one. Potentially part of their maturing is cat. I'm going to have 2 more of these soon.